Hi, I'm J.C. Holman. This is the Anarcha Archive. We've now followed Anarcha as she left Alabama and stayed for a time in Richmond. Around 1854, she came to be owned by a man named William L. Lewis Maury. Today, we'll be looking at where she lived for the next few years of her life.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
When I first went to Virginia to search for Anarcha's later life, I stumbled across several Anarchas, but none of them fit with the Anarcha who appeared in the case register of Women's Hospital in New York City. This woman, however, provided an important clue. She was named Anarcha, and she was married to a man named Goodwin, with a daughter named Henrietta. And then I found a record for the same Anarcha, husband named Goodwin, daughter Henrietta, but now she was called Anki. In Virginia, Anki was a shortened form of Anarcha. That would be true of our Anarcha as well. In New York, we saw Anarcha belonging to William L. Maury of Caroline County, Virginia. And here we see a reference to William L. Maury's woman Anki and 3 children who came here from Dr. White's last night. This is actually from the farm book, a kind of farmer's diary, of William G. Maury, who was William L. Maury's father. As we saw in an earlier video, William G. Maury purchased Old Mansion in 1842, and Old Mansion was in Bowling Green, the county seat of Caroline County, Virginia. And this new reference to Anki coming to Old Mansion with 3 children comes just after Anarcha is discharged from Women's Hospital in New York City. The discharge happens on January 22, 1857, and the arrival at Old Mansion takes place on March 12, 1857. But the record suggests that Anarcha first came to Old Mansion sometime earlier than that. The Maurys are probably one of the best documented families in the country. There are huge troves of letters between family members in archives all across Virginia and in other locations as well. Prior to Anarcha's time in New York City, the Maury farm book shows when a cabin was being constructed for Anki. There are other references to her in the letters as well. Usually there's a description of her house being out and away from the other houses, probably even apart from the other slave cabins at the Old Mansion property. Old Mansion is very well recorded as well. It was originally a very large plantation and a stopping point for George Washington as he journeyed from Richmond to D.C. A very famous racehorse was bred here, and the horse track in front of the house, it ran around all of these trees, is one of the birthplaces of modern thoroughbred racing. The property was smaller by the time Anarcha lived here, but there were still approximately 20 enslaved people living on the Old Mansion grounds in the late 1850s. The locations of the original quarters have been identified, and there is another site on the property where a cabin likely stood, but it's impossible to pinpoint the exact location of that site with certainty. The problem is that Old Mansion is still held in private hands. The current owners aren't particularly interested in the history of the home. Still, other letters indicate that Anarcha, Anki, was working as a midwife at this time. The whole picture is a bit much to go into here, but building off of documents we showed in previous videos, what seems most likely is that William L. Maury, Lewis, purchased Anarcha when he believed he was going to be remarrying. And in New York, Anarcha was sent again to Women's Hospital. Anarcha returned to Old Mansion in March 1857, and this is where Lewis's wife, Nan, would eventually come. Lewis would resign from the Navy as the Civil War began to approach. But there's still the mystery of the farm book. Anki and 3 children. Well, Lewis had 2 daughters by his first wife, who died in childbirth. If Anarcha was traveling back to Old Mansion, it makes perfect sense that she would be escorting Lewis's daughters. Anarcha's own daughter, Delia, would have been the 3rd. Next time, we'll divert back to Sims for a bit to see what he's been doing at this same time.
whoa, whoa.